Now, I know what all of you are thinking right now. When's he gonna make the Beyblade joke? The tangles spin, they're Beyblades, haha, get it? No, we're not doing that here. We don't do low-hanging fruit, okay? So with that out of the way, let's talk about the build and show some more footage. Let it rip! I wonder if Beyblades do any sponsorships. Anyway, Hunters, today is your day to shine. For episode Heresy, I think it's been fair to say that largely, overall, Titans and Warlocks have gotten the majority of the spotlight this episode, so I felt like I need to show some love to Hunters today. Also, sorry if I sound a little weird today. Got a cold, trying to get over it, but still gotta do your job, right? So here we are. Anyway, for today's video, we're going to be showing off a Strand Hunter build that I have simply dubbed Dyad Blades. We're going to be combining our Strand Hunter Beyblade setup with the newly released exotic SMG, Barrow-dyad. Insert weirdo yelling, "It's a bad SMG, well did all the damage, it sucks," here. If you know, you know. For those of you unfamiliar with barrow-dyad, though, it has an intrinsic trait that, in simplified terms, builds up Blightseekers over time as you deal damage to targets. The higher your bar fills up, the more Blightseeker rounds you are able to fire once you reel it into the weapon, and then begin to shoot it on your next target. It's also worth noting that the weapon is significantly stronger on the path of ambition rather than resolve. By having taken ambition as the perk on your dyad, the blight generation increases the longer you are on a target, and the seekers then burrow into the enemy and do more damage. Now moving on to the catalyst choice, I opted to go with Hatchling as I'm going to be fully investing into the capabilities of the Strand subclass, but you can definitely get away with using something like Target Lock or even One for All too. Speaking of Strand capabilities, let's get into the kit of our build, and then we'll go into artifact mods because there are a lot of them. For the kit, since one of our aspects is going to be the entire engine of the build, I want to start with that first, and that is going to be Whirling Maelstrom. This is what allows us to turn our tangles into just walking Beyblades on the field. Anytime that we destroy one or just simply throw one, it turns into a Beyblades, and then it starts seeking out enemies to damage. And when it does defeat enemies, it also emits unraveling projectiles, so that's just another way of getting unraveling. Our other aspect is going to be Widow Silk. This is simply just to give us another grenade charge, either using multiple grapples, or if you opt into the Mop Keeper's build, then you just have 3 grenades to throw. The other half of the perk is also worth mentioning, I suppose. Your grappling hook creates a grapple tangle at the grapple point. But that is, again, if you're opting to actually use grapple. Now, for the standard abilities, I have Gambler's Dodge as my dodge ability, simply because I want to have my melee on demand as much as humanly possible, because that is an instant free way to make tangles. Additionally, our Threaded Spike melee also severs targets, so that's another way to instantly sever anything near you on the field. I should also mention that Threaded Spike does have that mechanic where you throw it out into a bunch of enemies and it comes back to you like a boomerang, and if you catch it, you will get some melee energy back based on the amount of enemies. I wouldn't worry about it too much though, because there's a lot going on the screen when this happens. Once you throw your melee, you got to worry about any tangles that spawn on the field, because you got to activate those to take advantage of your kit. You might be shooting something with your barrow-dyad to get those seeker rounds out, and you know, sometimes you just won't be able to catch it. I wouldn't worry about it too much. And then for our grenade, of course, we're using grapple. Then we have our fragments. We have 4 of them. The first is going to be Thread of Warding. Picking up an Aura of Power grants Woven Mail. It's laughably easy to get an Aura of Power these days, so for 1 Aura of Power, you get 40% damage resist. That's pretty crazy. Then our next fragment plays off of that. Thread of Transmutation states, while you have Woven Mail, Weapon Final Blows create a tangle, so your barrow-dyad starts making tangles now. In our third slot, we have Thread of Generation. Dealing damage generates grenade energy, so this just plays into using your grapple or your Mop Keepers. You just keep shooting stuff with your dyad, get energy back, use your grenade, rinse, repeat. And lastly, we have Thread of Fury. Damaging targets with a tangle grants melee energy. Again, we want to have Threaded Spike up as much as possible besides using our dodge, so this is a great choice to pick right here. I know some people would probably want to go with something like Thread of Ascent for just free reloads, but I think Fury is worth keeping here. Before we go into artifacts, I just want to cover those exotic armor pieces that I talked about. So, there's 2 choices here. The first is going to be Foe Tracer. This is to just spec into your dyad as much as possible. Since we're going to be using our abilities constantly non-stop, every time we do use our abilities, we can give our dyad X4 Weapon Surge, which then gives us a 25% damage boost for free without ever having to have Surge mods in our boots. And given the damage output of the Seeker rounds from barrow-dyad, I feel like this is a solid choice to make if you want to go for full damage. Now, our other choice is going to be Mop Keeper's Wraps. This is more of a defensive choice. You get 3 charges in your grenade, you throw the Mops, they can either give you an overshield or blind enemies, which gives you an arc debuff, which again, it plays into our artifact, so it has more defensive synergy rather than offensive. I would say the higher you go in content with like GMs, expert activities, and all of that, then Mop Keepers probably become the #1 choice given all its defensive capabilities, between blinding enemies, giving you an overshield, potentially giving you amplified, which then gives you 15% DR, and you're harder to hit, and all that. I think Moth Keepers is also a really solid choice, so it's up to you. So here's my artifact. You don't necessarily have to copy me one for one. This is just what I have for proof of concept. So let's go over some of these mods. First up, we're going to go with Unraveling Orbs. Pick up an orb or a tangle grants your strand weapons unraveling rounds. The boost for this is also strand weapons deal increased damage to strand debuff targets. So anytime you have unraveling, sever, etc., you get a damage boost. Right under that, we have Vile Weave, which states targets hit by your tangles are severed. Also, you can reduce the cooldown of your tangles by picking one up. Essentially, this allows us to just spam more Beyblades onto the field as fast as possible. Next up is Dielectric. Now, this is specifically here because of the exotic choice we're going to make for our armor. There's two of them, actually. One is going to be Foe Tracer, to buff the damage of our Dyad anytime we use our abilities. And the other one, for this artifact mod specifically, is going to be Moth Keepers. The idea here would be that Moth Keepers make a Blinding Explosion, which would be an arc debuff. Then, when you kill those enemies, Dielectric would proc, giving you Bull Charge. Up next would be Disruptor Spike. This one's pretty straightforward. It improves the effects of Exhaust and Sever. So for Exhaust, you're running, let's say, Overload weapons for an easy proc on that. And then Sever is just natural for our Strand build, which would then just increase the effects of damage resist against enemies. After that, we have Flashover. Since we have the means to get Bolt Charge, we might as well run this, so when you get max stacks of Bolt Charge, you become Amplified. When we're Amplified, we get 15% damage reduction, and we're also harder to hit by enemies. Also, our Lightning Bolts from Bolt Charge will do more damage, so that's good too. Right under that, we have Horde Shuttle. Damaging unraveled targets with a weapon occasionally spawns a Threadlink. This is very easy to accomplish with Unraveling Orbs. And then the boost says Threadlinks sever targets that they damage. So it's another way to sever targets, which means Disruptor Spike would be up for that as well. And then in my last two slots in the final column, I have Defibrillating Blast. When we stun a champion, we get maximum stacks of Volt Charge, which means if we stun a champion and then just simply use any ability we have, our grenade or our melee, that's an instant proc of Volt Charge, which also means it'll instantly heal us if we're damaged. Also, quick PSA on Defibrillating Blast, you get healed every time you Bolt Charge, no matter what. It does not have to be when you stun a champion specifically. And our last mod is going to be To Shreds. This is fairly new with Act 3, so let me explain what it does. Dealing sustained damage to severed targets unravels them. So we kind of have a ping-pong thing going on between unraveling and severing targets. And defeating a severed target creates a hotspot of Strand energy, granting Woven Mail, which is just going to be 40% extra damage resist when you're fighting enemies. Additionally, the boost for this is unraveling projectiles deal increased damage. So when you make your barrow-dyad do unraveling rounds, thanks to just unraveling orbs, you just do free bonus damage to enemies, including your seeker rounds. And these deal further increased damage to severed targets, which again is very easy to proc with this build. And let's wrap this up with armor mods. So if you have any questions about these on screen, feel free to ask in the comments below. But the basic idea is to try to synergize our build with getting our abilities back, including our supers. So for like the helmet, for example, we have Dynamo. Anytime I dodge near an enemy, I'll get a chunk of super energy and also decrease my cooldown on my super. Harmonic Siphon to get Ores of Power to both give us Woven Mail, unraveling rounds, and also get super energy. Hands On to get super energy when we get melee kills. You get the idea. So boots have Absolution and Recuperation for healing and ability regen. One Strand Surge just to give a bonus to a barrow-dyad. Our gloves have Harmonic Loader for Dyad, Momentum Transfer, and Impact Induction to get our Grand and Melee energy. Then on our cloak, we have Bomber Outreach Distribution, also for ability regen. And for the chest, it's just whatever you're fighting, Solar, Void, Arc, Strand, Resist, etc. You get the idea. As always, I'll have a dim link down below in the description in case you want to try out the build on your own. While you're down there, I also have all my other socials too. Twitch, TikTok, Twitter, MySpace. Okay, maybe not MySpace. I feel like 3 people are going to get that joke. We also upload memberships on YouTube now because I'm planning to multi-stream between Twitch and YouTube, so that should be fun. Alright, that's the full salad speech. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing today. It does help the channel grow and is much appreciated. If you want to go the extra mile, you can leave a like and or comment below as well. If you don't know what to leave as a comment, you can leave Beyblades as the comment. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.